Welcome to Driving the Lane with Randy Kraayenbrink and Chuck Rowe, a podcast presented by News Talk 1540 KXEL. Now, Driving the Lane.
Welcome to Driving the Lane. Randy Kraayenbrink, Chuck Rowe, the show where we talk about mostly one thing and one thing only, and that is
Panther basketball.
Now, it's important that we remind you that although we are the official UNI Basketball show for News Talk 1540 KXEL, our comments may not reflect the feelings of our friends at UNI. However, Randy is a former player, and I have this nifty polo shirt. So this is as official as it's going to get. Now, we want to remind you.
Chuck.
You like this?
I love it.
Yeah. You know, I got this, I think, at the UNI Basketball golf outing.
Yes. Yep. It looks familiar.
Yeah. It makes me look kind of muscular, I think. You know,
yes.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyways, we also want to let you know that portions of the show can be heard on KXEL with the entire show found on their website. Randy, we have a great show for today. You know, I was on Twitter in Ryma's former world. He would say the Twitter machine. I was on the old Twitter machine, right?
Yes.
And somebody mentioned on there that they were really excited about the guest. We have former player Ali Farokhmanesh joining us today. And this person on Twitter said there's only two people that he knows that by the end of the game, he knew that they would hit all their shots. And two of them were on our show today. It was pretty nice of him to say that not only do we have a great guest this week, but Randy being a player that you can count on to hit those shots. That's what that's the guy on Twitter said. I'm not saying I said that. So anyways,
I'll believe him.
So great guest for today. After that, we have the Midwest Studies Group Nonprofit of the Week, and then finishing off with the Financial Architect's Quote of the Week. Let's get started.
You know, Chuck, if we knew how to do technology, we could maybe put some fans behind us.
What, you think that's virtual? That's real, Randy. They just follow him around. I mean, if you hit a big shot in life, that's what happens. The rest of your life, he'll just follow you. We have had a lot of memorable guests on the show. This guy should be a relief pitcher because he knows how to close out games like that. So awesome. we are legally changing his last name. Drum roll, please. Ali, Mr. Big Shot. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Randy and Chuck.
Now, last time you were on the show, I mean, it had to be, I think I looked it up. It was like 2016. A lot of things have changed. You were just about to have your first son. I think we were talking about that a little bit. Now you have something like 15 kids. I don't know. You have a lot of kids these days. Seriously, though, tell us about your family, and has any one of them taken up basketball yet?
Yeah, so that my first son is now 7, and now the rest of them, my kids, I have a daughter that's 3 who turns 4 tomorrow, a 2-year-old, and then a 6-month-old right now. So yeah, we've a lot has changed in 6 years since the last time I was with you guys. And now I was at Nebraska at that point as a GA, I believe, and then now I'm an assistant coach at Colorado State University.
So tell us the difference real quick. Randy knows about this. I don't, because I have 2 kids. I'm still playing man-to-man defense. What is it like at home now playing zone defense?
I don't know. Randy feels it. As soon as I always thought the first one was the hardest because it's your first kid. You have no idea what you're doing. Then the second one, you're kind of like, man, like I've got 2 of them now. What am I supposed to do? And then by the third one, it was just kind of like, I'm already in chaos. So what's the difference? And I don't think there was a huge jump in amount of stress or anything else going from 2 to 3. And even, to be honest, 3 to 4, I don't know how Randy feels about that, but I thought the first one was the hardest. The second one was hard. And then after that, it was just like, I'm already doing this.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We stopped at 3, so we didn't go to that 4th one, but I think an even number is a wise choice because that way 2 of them can't team up against one later on and that type of thing. So wise choice coming with that 4th child.
I'd like to take credit for that. That was all my wife. So
nice.
Now he just needs at least one more to get that full team out there, starting squad.
I take all that back about the chaos, and you're in chaos already. We're done with 4 though.
So
no more chaos.
No more.
Good.
Just wanted to talk a little bit about your pre-UNI history. Just out of curiosity, and maybe you can help fans understand, how does it work when someone of your quality and talent that eventually plays on UNI, how do you end up at a place like Kirkwood? Like, what do scouts say about your game that maybe they say like, okay, you're not quite ready for UNI. This is what you need to work on.
Yeah, it was a culmination of things, to be honest. It was the fact that I was 6 foot. I was a kind of a combo guard, so I really had to work on my game. I had to get better with my ball handling. I had to get better at my shooting to become a knockdown shooter. I had to become more of a playmaker for other people. All those areas I had to really improve, and that's what I took advantage of when I was at Kirkwood and Indian Hills, was really understanding that, hey, I wasn't that good. And I think it takes some humbling at some point in your career to understand that maybe I'm not that good. And then it's your response to that. And luckily my response was, I'm going to get in the gym more, and I'm going to fight more, and I'm going to be tougher about trying to become the player I wanted to be. And I knew I had to do, I was lucky enough to have some really great coaches that kind of laid out a foundation of how I'm going to get there. And I stuck to that and probably took it to a different level as well, and was lucky enough that got put in a great situation at Kirkwood with Doug Wagemeister, and was allowed to play my game and really show what I could do. And I remember at Kirkwood, I actually broke the gun. I shot so much on the gun. It's a shooting machine that passes the ball back to you. I shot so much on it that it ended up breaking. They had to buy a new one that spring. So you want to say it was more than what it was, but honestly, it was just a lot of work. And that's a lot, but it was a lot of work day in, day out, early mornings, late nights, skipping parties, skipping this. It takes a lot of sacrifice. And it's not like I wasn't doing that before, but I took it to a different level because my dream was to play Division I basketball. And lucky enough, I got that opportunity once my time at Kirkwood was done.
So talk a little bit about that process then. So you're done at Kirkwood. How soon were the Panthers? How soon did they find you? How did that happen?
It probably was about, I want to say, December. They used to do an event at Drake, actually, a JUCO event, and we were playing Indian Hills, which was my JUCO I was out before, and I left to go to Kirkwood, and we were playing them, and we won in double overtime, and I had like 35 points, and that's kind of when the whole recruiting process started. And that's when Coach Hogan, PJ Hogan, was actually the first one to kind of talk to me. Then Coach Green, who's at now Iowa State, and then obviously Coach Jake from there. But it really came down to, at the end for me, it was between St. Louis with Rick Majerus and Coach Jake and UNI, and that was the final decision. And I remembered a lot of pressure was getting put on there at the end in January, and we were still in season. And I remember being like, I got to get this done with, because I still want to finish our season out. And it was tough. It was a tough decision, but at the end of the day, I really believed in what Coach Jake was building, and I really believed in who they had on their roster with Adam Cook and Jordan Nagel Cedar, and they talked about Johnny Moran coming in and Kajoa Heligba. There seemed like there was a foundation that was really being laid. It just hadn't come to fruition quite yet with kind of the wins, and then the rest was history after that.
Well, you averaged over 9 points a game your first year, and you were recognized to be one of the top newcomers, obviously, for the Valley. But how hard is it to learn a new system and to transfer into a school like UNI? Because a lot of times transfers, especially from the JUCO route, they usually kind of end up being more of a bench warmer, maybe a spot players, role players. But you came in and made a difference. How hard was it to make that transition?
Yeah, it's a big adjustment. The style of play is different. Your teammates are different. Your coaching staff's different. All those normal adjustments that happen for everybody. But then on top of that, the level of play is different. There's longer athletes. There's stronger athletes. The coaches, they in the Valley was a tremendous league in terms of the amount of coaches you had. You had Greg Marshall in the league. You had Dana Altman in the league. There were some high-level coaches in the Valley at that time. So the scouting's different. They know exactly what you're doing, which way you want to drive, which way you want to shoot, which way you come off screens, what type of gum you're chewing. It's incredible in terms of the amount of level of detail that's in that league. And that's an adjustment, and it's hard to get to that point. And you can ask the coaching staff too. It wasn't a smooth adjustment for me either. I think I shot like 28% from three through the first 7 games. And I remember going on message boards, which I would never suggest a player to do that now. Play one of those guys instead of this guy. And I remember printing that and putting that on my bulletin board and leaving it up there. And then the rest of the way, I always joke with Coach Jake. I think I must have shot like 55% the rest of the year because I started out so bad and ended up at like 38%. So there's definitely an adjustment. It takes time. And I was lucky enough that I chose Coach Jake because he allowed me to adjust and he didn't give up on me. And he gave me more confidence to be ready, and knew after 7 or 8 games that I was going to make that jump. He stuck with me. And I always will say that was one of the biggest things that Coach Jake did, is just sticking with me.
So when you got there, there was a couple years before you guys made March Madness, the NCAA tournament, a little bit of a separation, a couple years. What was it like being on campus on the Monday after Selection Sunday?
That was awesome. I mean, there was no better feeling than that, walking around campus, and there's nothing better than March Madness. Even the casual fans, even the people that don't care about sports, get into March Madness. And I think that's what makes it special. You have your traditional fans that love college basketball, that love the universities, but then you have the casual fans too. So we're walking around Cedar Falls, and obviously it's a tight knit community, but everywhere you go, someone comes up and stops you and talks to you. And I was lucky enough too. My 2 roommates were Jake and Adam Cook. So they're both 6'9", 6'10". So not too many of those guys walking around. So that's originally how I always got noticed, is I was stuck between those two all the time. Otherwise I was just another dude walking down the street. But it was a blast, especially that first year. Not the second year was great too, but especially that first year, just because, I mean, no one expected us to be there. And I think that's what made it even more special, was we did something no one thought could be done.
Well, the second year, that next year coming around, a lot of people think of the big shot that you had with Kansas, but a lot of people forget that you actually had a pretty amazing game for the UNLV game. Do you remember what the locker room speech was like after that game?
The UNLV game was, I don't remember the locker room speech. I just remember being shocked that we won, and not shocked, but more just how we won. It felt like one of those games that was just kind of slipping away a little bit, and I gave up the 3 to actually tie the game. So nobody talks about that, but I was upset with myself. I helped in on a 3-point shooter, so I still remember that. So I felt like I had to make the next shot, but elation, I guess, is the only thing I can describe out of that. And we had to get over it eventually, but Coach Jake allowed us to celebrate still and enjoy that win in that locker room. And I mean, it was the first time since 1990, I think, was the first time we won. Before that, our off Maurice Newby shot. But so it was excitement, and that's everything you dream of, is being in that situation. I didn't know what was going to happen the next night, but at that moment, that was the best moment of my career. Probably best moment for all of us was winning that NCAA tournament game.
Well, we all know what happened next at the Kansas game. You've been asked about that over and over. But here's the question I have for you. What memento did you keep from that game? Did they give you like one of the game balls, or did you get, what do you do with your uniform? Do you display it, stick it in the closet? What mementos do you have?
I only have the shorts. That's all I have. So I have a pair of the purple UNI shorts. My jersey actually got auctioned off at the rally in the Valley. So I actually don't even know who has that right now. But I have those shorts, and my son always grabs them all the time. So I keep them, and I'll wear them every once in a while just because it's fun. I'm not one of those guys that's going to hang them up or whatnot. Like there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in those things. And that's probably the only memorabilia I really have from that, is those shorts from that game. But that's all I need. I'll remember that for the rest of my life, and my teammates will remember that game for the rest of our lives. We don't have to have anybody or anything else really kind of stand out to make us remember that. That's one of those memories that no one can take away from me.
So you're now in a coach at Colorado State, and you had mentioned Coach Jake giving you the opportunity, giving you the confidence, all that. So talk to us a little bit about like what you took forward now as a coach that he maybe instilled in you at UNI or other coaches in your life as well that you're using today.
Yeah, no, I think one thing Coach Jake, I think, did a tremendous job, is there was no negotiating on how hard you were going to play defensively. It was, if you don't play defense, you're not playing. And to this day, I think that if you buy into the defensive end of the floor, and then you play hard, you compete, you give your body up, you take charges, you wall up, you do everything on that end of the floor. He didn't say anything on offense. And I take that. I will always do that for the rest of my career. And I think that builds confidence. I don't think you can preach shot selection. I don't think you tell guys what not to do, but you tell them what you want them to do. and you're gonna have to live with some bad shots every once in a while. But you look at a guy like AJ Green, if you take away his shot selection constantly, well, some of the best shots that he makes are those tough ones. And if you make him second guess or hesitate, Randy, as a scorer, if you have to second guess or hesitate, you're not making shots.
Right.
And that's the one thing Coach Jake did. I never second guessed a single shot in my life. And that's probably why I shot that shot against Kansas. But that's the confidence that Coach Jake gave me. And it wasn't just from that game. And it wasn't like I decided, oh, I want to beat Kansas, so I'm shooting this shot. No, it was Coach Jake let me do that my whole career. So when that opportunity then happened, there was no questioning it. There was no, oh, I need to shoot this, or we're up, blah, 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 with this much time left. Should I shoot this? It was, no, this is what I do. This is the habit that I've built. And this is what Coach Jake has allowed me to do my whole career. And that confidence that he had in me and the shot selection, and I think that was, our whole team was like that. If you watch, we shot a lot of bad shots sometimes,
Yeah.
but now that it paid off at the end because we all had the confidence to make plays like that.
I love the lack of 100% total lack of respect of the as you know, Randy, when you hit big shots, there was no like, as you know, Randy and Chuck, like as if I never hit a big shot in my life. Come on. My goodness.
Chuck, you understand too. I should have came to you too.
Yeah.
I've seen you play at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, between that and NBA 2K, I've hit some pretty major shots, won some championships. So but that's fine. We'll give Randy his due. Hey, since you bring up some of the coaching though, and things that you've learned over the years from some folks, a lot of people don't know, besides what you just mentioned with the show today, that you are at Colorado State. And one of the things that has been really amazing about the staff at Colorado State is that you turned a team around. And I know it's a team effort, right? I know you're a humble guy. You're not going to take all the credit for that by any means, but between the players and the staff, you turned around a program from some losing seasons to now you're getting like 20 plus wins each year. What was your role on the coaching staff in helping to turn things around?
Yeah, I think just like everywhere else, I a lot of recruiting. We want to give credit to the X's and O's of college basketball, but usually it's the teams with the best players that win. And that's one of the best things that we have is we got great people right now, and that's why we're successful. Is we got great kids, great players, but then we've got great coaching staff, we got great ops people. Everyone within the program is a high level person, and that's probably what happened first. Is we got the right people in here. And then now we've developed them and they've grown and they've come together as a group and built that culture of we call it team together, but built a culture of it's not just the 5 guys on the court. It's all 15 players, all 8 people on staff. And you can see that with how they play and how they cheer for each other and how they root for each other. And Coach Jake obviously has done the same thing as you build a culture and an environment that breeds development, that breeds winning, that breeds success and togetherness and unselfishness, that you want your teammates to be successful. And that took a while. That takes time. But I think we're at that point, and now we have talent too. It doesn't hurt that we have 2 first-team all-conference players and some really, really good role players. And that's why we were successful at UNI. It wasn't because we had one dude. It was Adam Cook and Jordan were our guys, and then the rest of us were high-level role players. And I'm not afraid to admit that. That's how championships are won. The really good teams have really good individual talent, but the best teams and the championship teams have that individual talent plus elite role players. And we were lucky enough that, you had me, Johnny, we had Travis Brown, you had Kerwin Dunham, you had Kajoa Heligba. I mean, you had a lot of guys that were really good role players that could score 20 points any given night, but our ringers were always Jordan and Adam Cook.
Well, something that I think you were recognized about maybe a couple years ago was that you were named one of the top young coaches by ESPN. And because of all the hard work that you've been doing at Colorado State. So out of curiosity, how did you celebrate that honor with like family and the team?
My wife gave me a kiss. With 4 kids, no one celebrated anything. They don't care. But no, it was a great honor. It was awesome to see my name up there and be recognized. I think anytime you're doing something in your profession, you want to be recognized for that. But anytime, especially in a profession like this, it's less about me and it's about all the guys. If we don't have great players, I'm not recognized for anything. My great play that I want to run doesn't matter unless I have a guy that can make the shot. So it's a great honor. It was a privilege to say that, like, a lot of that hard work to get to recruiting and development and all that investment that you have in a program, that honor kind of came from all of that. So it's definitely a culmination of everything that we put into this program, but then it's also the guys and the staff that I get to work with every single day. I'm pretty blessed to be in the position that I am in right now.
Let's say you lose by a point by a free throw, and it's something that close and that emotional. Is it harder to be in that situation as a coach, since you're like, I can't be on the floor to make a difference, or does it not matter if you're a coach or a player?
It's almost different feelings because it's same type of feeling. It's just different. It's you more think about, okay, what could I have done to help these guys more? What could I have done to in this situation, in that situation? But as a player, you're just like, dang, I wish I would have made that play. So I think that's the different feel. It's the same sense in losing, I guess, but it's a different feeling of how you lost. As a player, it's just, I wish I would have made those plays. As a coach, it's, I wish I would have made different decisions, or you just second guess everything as a coach. But as a player, it's just, I wish I would have made that play.
So one more coaching question. So are you involved like with the point guards, the shooting guards, or the big men, or, I mean, what's kind of your role like when you break down individual workouts or whatever that might be? Who do you go with?
So we usually do it. We kind of do it a little different. Like each coach has their individual guys that they work with. Just because I think from a development standpoint, you have to have one coach that really understands their game individually and is constantly trying to figure out how to get them better. Because if we get our individuals better, the whole group will get better on their own. It's not, we obviously will work as a team and try to get our team better as a group. But if we can keep getting each individual better and increase their game, well, now we're going to be that much better. So each coach has 4 or 5 guys that they work with individually, on their own, pre-practice, post-practice, watching film with them. And then after that, when we're in practice, I work a lot with the guards, and then work a lot with the offense, in terms of play calling on the sidelines and whatnot. But that's what's been fun for me. I love the development, and it kind of goes back to Kirkwood. If I didn't develop myself, there's no way I would be sitting here talking to you guys right now, would have been at UNI, any of that. So that's one thing I take a ton of pride in, is the individual development for guys, because it changed my life. And so hopefully that I can pass that along to these guys and they can change their lives with it.
Well, one guy that's on the UNI coaching staff now, former teammate of yours that shot a dagger or two in life, would be Marc Sonnen. So if you take the year 2022, and if you guys were to do a virtual 3-point contest, who would win, do you think, these days?
I'm still winning. Mark's a better shooter than I am, probably. He's not as clutch as I am. I think he gets clammy hands when the game's on the line.
We're going to set up a virtual 3-point contest. I don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to figure this out, Randy.
I'm going to go get on the gun right now then.
Ali, I have a question about, so now the players get to be paid for their likeness. Every time the NCAA shows that shot in March Madness, they should pay you something to show that shot over and over, right?
I would think so now.
Right, exactly. You need to maybe hire an attorney, and maybe, at least $10 every time they show it or something.
Exactly. It might not be worth it anymore. I'll just take the video instead of trying to get the dollar out of it.
True.
Any final words to Panther fans before we let you go?
I miss Panther Nation. I miss Cedar Falls. Hopefully I'll be able to get back soon again. My son's getting old enough now. He asks a ton of questions about UNI and Cedar Falls. And so hopefully someday soon, that it's tough with the basketball schedule and whatnot, but hopefully someday soon I'll be able to get back, and not be on the sidelines with Drake and just come back and watch the game actually now.
Ali, thanks for joining us. We appreciate the time, and good luck to Colorado State, and have fun with those kids.
Yeah. Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Chuck.
Well, as everyone knows, Randy and I have a big heart for community nonprofits. This week, we have from the Northeast Iowa Food Bank. Drum roll, please. What a great drum roll. They get better each week, Randy.
I got to work on that.
Barb Prather, thanks for joining us, Barb.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the food bank does so much in this community. A lot of people assume what the food bank does is help people get food, right? But there's a lot of programs that people aren't familiar with that kind of fly under the radar that are major. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about those programs.
So sure, the two programs that probably the food bank is most known for are the Cedar Valley Food Pantry, which provides emergency and supplemental food to people in need right here in the Cedar Valley, and the Backpack Program, which is our partnership with the schools where we're providing bags of food to kids on weekends. But we're really a part of a bigger network called Feeding America, which is the nation's food bank network. And really our role in the community is to recoup food that might otherwise go to waste and get it to where it needs to go. And, and it's really about ensuring that people have access to food, but the idea of food banking started when a small nonprofit couldn't warehouse or handle a tractor trailer load of product. But if you bring it in and bank it, many organizations can have access to it. And so that's really what we do. Is we are a warehouse distribution system that then provides food to multiple organizations. But the additional programs is we have mobile pantry programs, which moves food into communities that either don't have a food pantry, or if they do, it's not open evenings in the evening, or it's a way for us to move more nutritious food because there's a lot of perishable products that needs to move fast, and it's an efficient way to do that. We have our Kids Cafe program, which partners with after-school programs, providing a nutritious meal and snack. Summer feeding, which provides complements what the Waterloo Schools does to feed people in the summer, providing meals, as well as our elderly nutrition program, which partners with a variety of different places. And so those are just 3 or 4 additional programs that we have. Our goal is to ensure people have access to food, and in doing that, a lot of times we have to really target populations, and that's what we're about doing.
Wow. I did not understand that the food bank had all of those branches, right? All those arms that reached out in so many ways, which is really, really cool. So you had mentioned gathering food. Obviously, we all maybe bring cans to church, or we Walmart or Target or Hy-Vee, Fairway might have a box that we can put food in. Do restaurants and other facilities like that, do they also provide you with some, like you said, maybe perishable foods?
So we have a big food rescue program that partners with Quick Star, Hy-Vee, Panera, Target Distribution Center, Walmart. Those are just a few, as well as other manufacturers and distribution centers. We don't work specifically with restaurants. Salvation Army picks a lot of that food up because that's where we would take it anyway. So cut out us, we help facilitate that process. And more, the food that's available to people is highly perishable and has a short shelf life. And so we need to make sure that we move that as fast. So with restaurant food, it's just easier for them to go. In our community, it's just easier for them to go directly to those sites.
Well, I think the thing that's really amazing, like I said at the beginning, is that a lot of people assume that you're just a food pantry, but it's amazing all these other programs that you do for the community. And I can tell you firsthand, I've seen it, Randy, that all the great things that Barb does at the food bank. And I know you're always looking for volunteers or people to make donations. Where could people, or how could people learn more about the food bank?
So a couple things. First, the food bank provides food to organizations and programs, and a food pantry serves people. So that's the distinguished difference. But if people want to volunteer or donate food or money, they can go to our website, www.neifb.org, or they can call the food bank at 319-235-0507.
Wow. Barb, thank you. Like Chuck said, we really enjoy talking with our not-for-profits, especially in the local area here, and the amazing stuff that you do for our community, and obviously the surrounding communities as well. And keep up the great work. And we hope that our listeners support and follow the food bank moving forward. But Barb, thank you.
This brings us to the part of the week that everyone's been waiting for, the financial architect's quote of the week.
You know, I've been thinking about this, Chuck, for the week. I've had a couple of close friends pass away in the last 10 to 12 days. And so I'm going to skip the quote of the week, buddy. I'm going to say this. Make sure that you take the time out of your day to make a phone call or have lunch or coffee with close friends or relatives that, because you never know if it may be the last time you have that opportunity. So I know I kind of skipped the quote of the week, but take time for your family and your friends, because you never know when it may be the last time you get a chance to see them.
You know, Randy, I think each week after the quote, I'll throw in the old, it's good for you, good for me, good for everybody. And but this time it's like something that it really is. It really is good for you, good for everybody, because how easy is it to take people for granted in life, right?
Yep. I'll see you next week, or I'll give you a call next week. It's so easy to pick up the phone. It's so easy to find a place to sit down. So just do it.
Yeah. Wise words from a wise man. So hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. Catch you next week. Enter the closing music.